Good morning, Mr. Blair. I want to take a moment here and review the lesson we had yesterday. First off, I want to say thank you again. It was a pleasure talking with you yesterday, meeting with you with the golf, talking about your golf swing and especially the trimmers and so forth. So I do appreciate having that discussion with you, and you fill me in on where you've been to and so forth. So as we get started here and as we begin to dive into this here, one of the first things we talked about in the lesson was your initial grip, holding the grip. Now when we look right here in this picture here on the right hand side, you can see how that V, when I'm talking about the V, I'm talking about the thumb, and when it's right up next to the index finger in relation to where it is pointing to. When you see it this position right by the tip of the arrow there, you can see that the V is pointing right up your left arm. And by that, what tends to happen, that tends to be more of a weaker position with the right hand. So sometimes a weaker position at the beginning can relate to one of two things, either holding onto it and blocking it out to the right, or not getting through it properly like you should at the point of impact. So with you, I think in this case, that was the first thing we talked about. All I wanted you to see is maybe just a little bit more of where that V was pointing. Excuse me there. But that V was pointing more to your chin rather than that of your left shoulder. So as it being in that position allows it to be in a little bit more of a neutral position with the right hand rather than being in a weaker position. All right, so as we get going here, sorry about that, but sorry about that break there, but as we get going here, the next thing we talked about here then was the transition from the club going back to the top of the golf swing. When I say the transition, what I mean is the initial point is as you go to take the club back here, it's like you almost pull it straight back with your right hand because it being in the position it is, where it might be what they call a weaker position. In some cases for you, it's a little more domineering in the position because, one, you try to get the rotation in your hands going back, but then as you do that, you also you get the club going too far behind you. Now what I mean by that is I want you to watch right here. You kind of see the club going back, and when it tells me that the right hand is doing it, you see how the club face is closed now all of a sudden going back? Look at that position. Where you can see that is more like right here. You can see it as well, right there. See that first initial move back? That heel kind of kicks out, and then the club is just kind of being brought back a little bit more there. So then as you get it going back, now all of a sudden, we try to bring it back and try to play catch-up here. Now, maybe the left hand's coming in at this point. I'm not for sure. But what happens here at this point, you can see how the club is drastically going behind you. Now, when I put up a different person here, you can kind of see a little bit more of what I'm discussing here. Hold on one second here. Now these are woods at this case here, and what I'm trying to find is, there's Freddie, that's Bubba. Here we go, Rory McIlroy. But you can see as Rory takes the club back, the club comes right down the line here, okay, and then goes up. But you can see it gets to about right there. A little more of a one-piece takeaway, a little more of being together as we take the club back rather than a lot of it in our hands and more possibly there are arms as we take the club back. So as you see this position, you can see as you get here, so where that leads you to is you start pulling the club up here, trying to get the club to the top of your golf swing. The hands are taking it up, and you can see in relation to your body, you can see how your hands are behind your right shoulder. Here's your right shoulder, where we'd like to probably see it as a little more right here. You can see in relation when we show you Rory. Look at the difference there, right here, even where it's down here. See the difference of where his hands are here right there compared to yours on the left-hand side. So then as you get up to the top, through your years of playing, and you've played as well as, I mean, as long as you have, you can kind of see, you've got to, you get the club going down, coming down into it, hips turning through. Now what happens here? We have a little leg drive or a little position as we go to the right-hand side. I'm going to show you right here. A little more of what I'm discussing here, right here. So you get it going back. Here, 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 here. You see now the right side's coming through. We turn it through. Now what happens with you, you've got two different positions that I saw when we were out there. One, you either had that slight little slide with the shot right here, right there. I mean, I don't mind a little bit of it, but not that drastic of it. You can see how the head moves from here to here, moving forward on it. And by the time the hands start coming down, you're right here. So true, that's a good 6 to 8 inches that you move forward on the ball, trying to get the club going through. So if you happen to be ahead of it, well, there's that block to the right. If you stay back on that right side that we talked about, then there's that flip and there's that hook to the left that we've seen a couple shots. And I know you said you don't tend to hit that shot very often, but that's what's going to happen here in this. So those are kind of a brief overview of what we looked at, what we primarily focused on. Was for you trying to get the club going back a little more line down this path. So what I did is I laid this mirror out in front of you so that when you knew you're about halfway back, the hands were a little bit better. They weren't going as far behind you. And when we have this in relation, you can see there's a difference already. Now I'm not looking for a completely, being dead solid perfect here in the beginning. But you can see how your first move is, especially with the hands going back, is around. You go around this way. Here, here, here. What I'd like to see maybe is a little more pushing back with that left hand, 6 inches here. Move back 6 inches, then get your rotation going up, which still, that position there is better than where we are on the left-hand side. As we go up, as you can see, even right here, right in that position, night and day difference between those two. Here, we go up with it. And you can kind of see even in that position here where we talked about getting the hands a little more in front of that right shoulder. Difference, big difference between those two. We're up, come down through, good swing. And that's ideally what we were working on. We had quite a few shots, doing that, just focusing on that position, getting back to that position there, back down and through. And, so initially what I would tell you your main thoughts with this, or your thought per se, is one, is you come through with this. This is your wood here. Not bad. Good. Down through. Now, obviously, it is that timing position or that, that transition going back. It's this being a little newer to you, or, as you're working on it, you're going to have some errant shots. That's a given. But what I want to see is that at least we're getting the club a little more in here rather than back here. A big difference here. Making sure that the club's not ultimately over-rotating as you go back into this position by using just simply your right hand. I like the fact that, here we had a little bit of it, but it's still the same point, still fighting that position, but getting the club coming back a little bit straighter as you take the club back rather than get the position of just ultimately carrying it around your body and being all hands with it as you get up to the top and then back down and through. Now, by all means, if you have any questions here, Mr. Blair, I want you to give me a call, 314-724-6539, or shoot me an email at michaelwyattgolf@gmail.com. Look forward to working with you again, trying to get this a little bit more ironed out and getting you a little bit on pace. But if you do, in the meantime, have any questions, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email. Thank you, sir.